Get ready guys for another operator lore video where the operator we feature in the video has a depressing and, in Oryx's case, just downright evil past. We are going to talk about how Oryx was taken from his family, how he managed to persuade Cade, the other operator in Rainbow Six Siege, to enter his fortress, and a surprise for you guys at the end of the video that I really don't want to spoil, so I'll save it for the end. Alright, now with all that being said, let's start things off as we always do with where and when Oryx was born. Oryx's real name is actually Saif Al-Hadid and was born on January 3rd in 1975, making him 45 years old as of today. He was born in Azraq, Jordan. It's a pretty small and extremely poor town with not much opportunity for growth and success. Okay guys, so this is going to be a different kind of lore video. Here's the thing, we don't know very many concrete details about Saif Al-Hadid, or should I just say Oryx's early childhood. We don't know about his parents or, what they did or how many siblings he had. I couldn't even find anything about that anywhere. We have no idea how well Oryx did in school, but if we take just one look at him, I can go out on a limb and say probably not so great at school. So we're going to need a flash forward to when Oryx was a teenager for the next part in his lore. Without much detail surrounding this story, Oryx was ripped apart from his family and thrown into the prison system as a teenager. Okay, so things are going to get pretty dark and depressing for the next couple of minutes in the video, guys, so get ready for it. So before I get into what happened to Oryx, I want to say something real quick. Anyone who lives in first world countries like the United States or Britain really do take for granted how good we have it here. Yeah, our judicial and prison system kind of sucks too, especially here in the United States, but it just doesn't even come close to how bad it is in these poor second and third world countries. I know that Oryx is a made-up character in a video game, but you know that stuff like this happens every single day in these countries. So with that being said, let's get right into it. Oryx was taken from his family and thrown into the prison for apparently something he never did. Without a trial or way to prove his innocence, he was immediately locked up. We don't know if his family was able to see him, but I can just assume that they were definitely not allowed there. Oryx was beaten regularly, and his needs for life were routinely neglected. He was in solitary confinement pretty often and thrown from prison system to prison system. For anyone who doesn't know, solitary confinement is where a prisoner is punished and put in a cell with no way to communicate with other people, usually in pitch darkness. They may be let out for an hour a day or be kept there at all times of the day, and the only interaction they have with other people is when a guard slips a tray of food under the door that is honestly probably just barely edible. Oryx knew he was innocent and didn't commit the crimes he was told he did. He tried to prove his innocence, but every single time it would result in a horrific beating from the guards and thrown back in solitary confinement. His teenager bones would break as they beat him, never to heal properly with a cast or any other forms of medical treatment. He was just left there, beaten, bruised, and bloodied, thrown back into solitary confinement. Oryx built up such an extreme rage while in the prison system. He would get so furious and just go crazy with anger that would of course lead him back into solitary confinement. While in solitary confinement, Oryx would do everything he can to make his body stronger. Whatever ways he can work out in a little tiny pitch black cell, he was going to do it. He lived this life in the prison system for 15 years. That is just absolutely tragic. I want you guys to picture it. Some of you guys watching this video right now aren't even 15 years old yet. Just imagine that your entire life was spent in a dirty, dark, and horrific place where you knew you were innocent. You would get beaten for trying to prove otherwise. This was Oryx's life for 15 years. He managed to break free though after those 15 years. We don't know how he did it, but I can imagine it had something to do with his extremely muscular body that he built up while in prison. When he broke out, he found his way back to Jordan, but he didn't want to stay long, only long enough to get a new passport to leave the country and travel the world. We don't know if he ever said hi to his family. They probably thought he was dead, to be honest, because it has been 15 years with no contact. They probably thought he was dead. Oryx wanted to explore the world and learn new things due to him not being able to experience any of these things for the majority of his life at this point. Oryx learned some pretty cool things. He learns how to be a fantastic wrestler in Istanbul, learned some Muay Thai in Bangkok, which is basically boxing. He learned how to handle cars very well with tactical driving school in Germany, Berlin. Then he became a marksman at a precision marksmanship camp in Damascus, which he was likely working for a paramilitary group at that time. Then he disappeared again. We don't know how much longer he was locked up for, but he was definitely in another prison system. Could it be the same people that threw him in prison so many years ago for a crime he didn't commit and wanted to catch him again for breaking out? Well, it could be, but we just don't know. There's just not enough details. Again, he broke out, but this time something amazing was about to happen. When he broke out, he walked to the hot sands of the desert for days. He came across this mighty fortress-looking building on top of a massive hill. As he walked up to the gates of this fortress, he stood there. For days, he would not leave the fortress doors in hopes of getting rescued from the scorching desert heat. When the doors finally opened, an older gentleman decorated in a prestigious military uniform walked out to him. The man introduced himself as Jalal al-Fasi and welcomed Oryx to the fortress. This man is better known to us as Cade. Now that's right, Cade saved Oryx and took him under his wing. Cade taught him everything, and he quickly grew through the ranks, from recruit to steward to instructor of the fortress. Now Oryx is the second in command at the fortress right under Cade. He would manage the place when Cade was away and was a very important advisor when Cade was present. This is a huge 180 from Oryx literally being locked away for 15 years, and then now all of a sudden he's a high-ranking military advisor for a leader of a massive fortress, Cade. Now, Cade was gone a lot the past couple of years as he took up a new prestigious position as an operator for an international anti-terror group called Team Rainbow. Of course, we all know who this organization is, but at the time, Oryx didn't. Eventually, Cade was able to convince Harry, the director of Team Rainbow, to fly out to the fortress to meet Oryx for possible recruitment. When Harry arrived, he was met with a massive 6'5", 287-pound man covered in scars. They got to talking. Harry noted how calm and collected Oryx was given his past. The total neglect for human compassion and the most severe of human cruelty has shifted Oryx into a, oddly enough, very easygoing man and well-appointed man at that as well. They talked about military operations and what to expect on Team Rainbow, but then also talked about Oryx's interests like fast cars from Morocco, to hiking in the Atlas Mountains, to poetry. Something Oryx has a special fondness of is poetry. After Oryx accepted the position on Team Rainbow, he had a hard time making friends with the operators. Oryx doesn't really trust other people very much given his past, so this leads him to shelter himself away a lot. Now, Castle is actually noted as trying harder to talk to Oryx and gain his trust, but he does say in his operator evaluation that it's actually hard for him to get to know anything about Oryx, and Castle's even a really social and friendly guy. Now, Finka was actually the operator that did the device evaluation for Oryx this time. But since there was no device for her to evaluate, she just ran many tests on Oryx. She wanted to find out why Oryx was an extreme top 1% of athletes in all of the world. He is more athletic than most Olympians. She took x-rays of Oryx but found nothing out of the ordinary, besides many past broken bones that appeared to have never healed properly. She ran many more tests and noted his extreme vertical jump, but all she can come up with is that Oryx is just a man on a mission to be the best he can ever be. Well, that's all I got for you guys. Now it's your turn to tell me something. Did you think anything was cool or interesting? You can let me know by leaving a comment down below. Now, if you did enjoy the video and think I did a good job making it, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications if you're new. Now, with all that being said, Jippy!